All right there guys, and welcome back to Premier League predictions. That's right, another season is about to start, so it's time for another predictions video, the fifth one. For those of you who haven't seen this before, very simple. I predict where each of the 20 Premier League teams are going to finish and why they will finish in the position that I've picked. I've done this since the 17-18 season. I did it that season, 18-19, 19-20, and I did it for 2021 last season, which wasn't even a year ago. Now it is time for my 2021-22 Premier League predictions. Let's get straight into it. So, coming in 20th place, finishing at the bottom of the league, is going to be Norwich City. Yep, I am predicting Norwich to finish bottom of the league, just like they did last time they were in the Premier League. And it's quite simple. The team they had when they went down last time is not as good. It was better than the team they currently have. They don't have Jamal Lewis anymore. They don't have Emi Buendia anymore. And Billy Gilmore on loan is not saving them from any higher than bottom of the league. Because, I mean, you saw in the 1920 season, you saw how bad Norwich were. Yes, they picked up a very, very good win against Man City early on, but they were terrible afterwards. So yeah, Norwich will finish bottom of the Premier League again. 19th is going to be Watford. Yep, I'm predicting the Championship's top two of last season to be the Premier League's bottom two of this season. And with Watford, it's literally the same case. It's very similar to Norwich's. Their team is not as good as it was when they went down. Yes, they've made additions like Danny Rose in defence, who could be good, and Josh King up front. These are good signings, but these players are not the same players they were when everybody rated them. They're older and they're a bit more washed up. But yeah, Watford just are not going to get themselves out of a relegation battle, and they're going to be firmly stuck in the relegation zone for the majority of the season and go down. But on the bright side, at least Ben Foster has a chance to make matchday vlogs in the Premier League this time instead of the Championship. 18th place. Now, I predicted this team to finish 18th last season, and they didn't. But I'm going to predict it again. In 18th, I'm predicting Crystal Palace. Just like last season. I think this is where Crystal Palace's Premier League run of seasons in the Premier League comes to an end. They've been in the Premier League ever since the 13-14 season, and they have not gone down yet. But they're always that one team you're wondering, is this the year they go down? Is this the year they go down? But this time, I think it is. They have a brand new manager in Patrick Vieira. He may be a legend in the Premier League as a player, but this is his first ever managerial job in the Premier League. And look what happened last time they brought in a manager at the start of a season before replacing him with Roy Hodgson. Frank de Boer lost every single game in charge of Crystal Palace and didn't have his team score a single goal. Patrick Vieira never managed in the Premier League before. His only managerial experience is in America and with Nice in France. They haven't made any big signings. They've had Gary Cahill and Andros Townsend leave. They've even had Wayne Hennessy leave to Burnley. So if Guaita gets injured, they don't have a decent backup keeper anymore. Wilfried Zaha is getting older. Eberechi Eze is injured for the majority of the season, which is a huge loss for Palace because he was their second best player last season after Zaha. Yes, they have signed a Championship wonder kid again, just like they did with Eze last season, this time from Reading, but how do you know he's going to be as good as Eze? You don't. But yeah, I think this is where Crystal Palace's Premier League run of seasons comes to an end. Now then, 17th. I think in 17th place will be Brentford, the Premier League new boys. They haven't played in the Premier League before, but they are this time. And I think they will actually stay up. And it's probably considered a football hipster type of prediction to predict the Championship's best two teams of last season to go straight back down, but their third best team to stay up. But there's just something about Brentford. Yes, they haven't made any signings this season, but their club has a feel-good factor about it, and they just feel it just feels like they can stay up. I mean, Ivan Toney last season broke the record for the most amount of Championship goals in a season for a single player. He broke the record. He now holds that record. So I think Ivan Toney can do well in the Premier League because the Premier League is a big step up from the Championship. You've got some players who excel in the Championship but fail massively in the Premier League, like Ryan Sessegnon for Fulham in the 18-19 season. 17-18 in the Championship, brilliant. Came up to the Premier League for 18-19, awful. And then some players can adapt to the Premier League quite well, like Ollie Watkins did. Didn't get promoted with Brentford last season, 2 seasons ago now. Then last season was signed by Aston Villa and did pretty well. Scored a hat-trick against Liverpool in that 7-2 freak result they got. And I think Ivan Toney will be a bit like Ollie Watkins. He'll adapt to the Premier League well and score at least 10 goals, maybe for the season, even maybe more. But yeah, Brentford, they are finishing 17th. In 16th place is going to be Burnley. This one is simple. It's Burnley. It's Sean Dyche. They just do not go down. He has the smallest budget out of any team in the league. He has he probably has the squad with the least technical ability, but he just keeps this squad up. He just keeps this team in the Premier League every single season. And it's no different this time. He'll do it again. 15th place, I think, is going to be Wolves. Now, you're thinking, wow, that's low for a team that finished 7th 2 seasons in a row and then dropped a bit further down to 13th last season. Well, yeah, think about it. Nuno Espirito Santo, no longer the manager. Got a brand new manager, who was previously the Benfica manager. Never managed in the Premier League before. They've sold Rui Patricio to Roma. So their very reliable keeper that they've had ever since they came up to the Premier League has gone. Of course, Matt Doherty joined Spurs last season, so that part they still haven't sorted. Adama Traore, for all his pace and strength, does not actually contribute to goals very often. Raul Jimenez is back after that fractured skull he suffered last year against Arsenal, but do we really think he's going to be back to his best after that? It's going to be difficult for him to do that. And there are players like Ruben Neves who are rumoured to have clubs sniffing around him. I just don't see how Wolves can do anything but slip a little bit further down the table. They just don't have anything ambitious that makes you think they're going to make strides this season. See, I think Wolves will finish 15th, which 10 years ago, 15th would actually be seen as a good position for Wolves to finish. Yet, now, it's not seen as a good position for them to finish. 14th, okay, in 14th place is going to be Brighton. Yes, they lost Ben White to Arsenal. But I still think I still think Brighton can do extremely well. Because last season, Brighton basically became a meme because of their extremely high XG, expected goals, but their extremely low amount of goals. If Brighton can just convert more of that XG into actual goals, they will be completely fine and nowhere near a relegation battle. I think this is going to be their greatest ever season in the Premier League. And Graham Potter is going to have that team up to 14th, their best points tally and best position they've ever had in the Premier League. And they've kept hold of Leandro Trossard, and it doesn't seem like he's going anywhere, so that's huge for Brighton since he is their best player. And yeah, Graham Potter will have that team playing well and getting the team as high as 14th. 13th place, Southampton. Oh, the last 2 seasons, they've been a bit of an interesting one for Southampton, haven't they? It's been ups and downs for the past 2 seasons now. The 9-0 loss to Leicester in October of 2019, where Southampton looked dead and buried, and then out of nowhere, the second half of the 19-20 season came around and they started beating a number of teams. They beat Man City, they beat Leicester away, and they managed to get themselves up to 11th. And last season, it was the other way round. They started the season incredibly well, to where by November, for a few hours, they were actually top of the Premier League. But ever since this year, 2021 hit, it's just been a downward spiral for them. After that 1-0 win against Liverpool at the very beginning of this year, they've just been in free fall, losing so many games. Again, losing 9-0 for a second season in a row, this time to United. And they've just not been at it, and they finished 15th last season. I think they'll do a little bit better this season, but is Ralph Hasenhüttl's project coming to an end? Has he taken this Southampton team as far as possible? Because somehow Southampton last season managed to be part of who's going to win the Premier League last season and who's going to get relegated. They managed to be in both conversations throughout the season. No team, not just any team can do that. But yeah, 13th for Southampton. 12th place. I think in 12th place will be the team that finished their last season, Newcastle. As much as the Newcastle fans absolutely hate Steve Bruce, he has garnered the same 2 points tallies that Rafa Benitez managed at Newcastle. Now, in fairness, yes, Rafa Benitez did not have as good of a squad. He didn't have Wilson. He didn't have Ryan Fraser. He didn't have St. Maximin. Whereas Steve Bruce has had those players. But Steve Bruce has done a much better job at Newcastle than any Newcastle fans ever thought he could. And they still need to sign Joe. They really still do need to get Joe Willock back, because he's the one that saved their season last season. And there's still no talk of him anywhere near moving back to Newcastle. Bearing in mind, this video is being recorded at the very start of August. It's been recorded over a week before the season starts. So, yeah, this video will be going up on Friday the 13th of August, the opening day of the Premier League season with Brentford versus Arsenal, but it's been recorded over a week in advance. So a lot of transfer moves could happen between when I finish recording this video and when it actually goes up. But yeah, Newcastle, I think they can manage to get 12th for a third season, get high up there and finish around 12th, 13th for the third season in a row. Well, fourth season in a row if you count Rafa Benitez's second season. 11th place. 11th place is going to be West Ham. Sorry, West Ham fans, but the demand of 6 extra games in the Europa League, travelling across all different around a bunch of different countries, is going to be a big downfall for you next season. You don't have the squad to compete in the Premier League and the Europa League. And I think the Europa League is going to hinder you massively. You don't have Jesse Lingard anymore. And it's seeming that you're not going to have him this season either. So that's a big downer for you. And the Europa League is going to hinder you massively. And you haven't made any noteworthy signings this season either. So that's why West Ham are going to finish 11th. Now then, for my most out there prediction of the lot of them, in 10th place is going to be Tottenham. Yes, Tottenham are going to finish mid-table for the first time in about 10 years. Why have I predicted Tottenham to finish that much lower down? Well, it's simple. They've got Nuno Espirito Santo in charge. He's not managed at a club as big as Tottenham. Last season, his Wolves team, he had his worst season at Wolves last season. So bad that his main Wolves team lost to Man United's reserves on the final day of last season. Tottenham have not made any massive signings. They've signed Bryan Gil from Sevilla, and they've sent Eric Lamela the other way. But they haven't signed anyone massive, and their star man, Harry Kane, at the time of recording, is currently AWOL, as he has not shown up to Tottenham's pre-season training, desperately trying to force a move to Manchester City. So, will that have happened by the time I post this video? Who knows? But it does not seem like Harry Kane will be in a Tottenham shirt come the opening day of the season when Tottenham face Manchester City. So they've got that to worry about, and the club is just in disarray. Honestly, last season, sacking Jose Mourinho 6 days before their only cup final of the season, which they lost 1-0 to Man City, finishing 7th, and it only because of the Europa Conference League do they actually have European football, which does not seem like something they actually even want. Toby Alderweireld has left, which means Tottenham's best 2 centre-backs of the past 5 years, Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld, last season and this season have now both left the club, and they have not been replaced with anyone even close to them. Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer are literally the best Tottenham have right now at centre-back. That's not great. Gareth Bale is not returning, even though he had an incredible second half of the season at Tottenham, he's not returning. That's a massive amount of their goals gone. And with Harry Kane not likely not playing for them this season at the moment, that's literally the majority of their goals gone. Their only world-class player they have left is Son, and he can't do everything by himself. So yeah, Tottenham are going to have a terrible season and going to end up mid-table, no European football, and it's just going to be a very unpleasant season for them. Right, 9th place is going to be Aston Villa. That's right, Aston Villa for the first time since, I don't know, the 13-14 season maybe? The 12-13, 13-14 season. Aston Villa are going to finish in the top half of the table in the Premier League. They only just missed out on it last season. Finishing just behind Everton. But yeah, Villa are going to make strides this season. They've already brought Ashley Young back, which his career took off at Aston Villa before Man United signed him. Fun fact, the last time Aston Villa won a game at Old Trafford, Ashley Young scored the winning goal in the 09-10 season. And then United signed him the very next season. But yeah, they brought in back Ashley Young. He knows the Aston Villa through and through. Jack Grealish, at the time of recording, is still there, but it is looking likely that he is on his way to Manchester City to join the club he 10 years ago, back when City were battling United for the league in the 11-12 season, he said he never wanted City to win the league. He was cheering on Man United. Maybe City will announce Grealish the same way Tottenham announced Matt Doherty, where Doherty was supposed to be an Arsenal fan, but then joined Tottenham and deletes his Arsenal tweets. Maybe Grealish will have to do the same thing. But as of recording, Jack Grealish is still at Villa. Even if he leaves, the signings of Emi Buendia from Norwich and Leon Bailey, who's on the verge of joining them, from Bayer Leverkusen, that's massive for Villa's front line. They've still got John McGinn, who is very important for them, so that's good for him. And Ollie Watkins, now he's had a full season in the Premier League, maybe he'll be firing even more than he was last season. But yeah, this season, Aston Villa fans should really be excited. Even if their star man leaves, they should be excited for the prospect of what's to come this season. Can they challenge for Europe? Yeah, I think they can, but I don't think they're going to make that. I think they're going to finish just behind in 9th place. But Villa fans, be excited. You have a very exciting team on your hands for this season. 8th place, I think, is going to be Everton. Everton are finally going to break that 2-season mould of finishing finishing mid-table. They're going to finish a little bit higher. Why? Because Rafa Benitez is good at getting the best out of teams. For God's sake, he took the 17-18 newly promoted Newcastle team straight to 10th in the league. If he can do that with that Newcastle team, imagine what he can do with a much better Everton team. I think he'll get them up to 8th because they've signed Andros Townsend from Crystal Palace. Yes, he's not that 25-year-old somewhat exciting winger he signed for the second half of the 15-16 season at Newcastle, but he can still be decent. Damari Gray from Bayer Leverkusen, that's a pretty decent signing. Still got Richarlison, who in the Olympics for Brazil has been smashing it. Bernard is still there. Oh wait, no he hasn't. Bernard has just left. James Rodriguez is still there though. So that's decent. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if he has more service, he could be scoring even more goals. Rafa Benitez's only big problem at the minute is Gylfi Sigurdsson, or might we better know him now as Guilty Sigurdsson, after being up to some very naughty things, hasn't he? Things that might be a bit illegal. I think you know what I mean. He's been chatting to people he shouldn't be. Let's use it. Let's go with that. That's the only thing Rafa Benitez really has the problem with at the minute. But other than that, yeah. Everton, 8th. 7th, right. 7th place, I think, will be Leeds United. Leeds haven't made a big stride in the transfer window. Alioski left at the end of last season, and they've brought in Juno Firpo, is it? From Barcelona. They've replaced Alioski straight away, but other than that, they haven't done any. They've not made any difference. But now that Marcelo Bielsa has had a season in the Premier League, I think his Leeds team will be better than they were last season, and they will get European football by finishing in the Europa Conference League spot in 7th. I mean, as much as we hate it when the media and the pundits suck off Leeds, even if they get battered, which is such a strange thing, Leeds are the only team that can get battered 6-2 by Man United, 4-2 by Arsenal, 4-1 by Leicester and Crystal Palace, and still be called a great team. But yeah, I think Leeds will be better next season, this season even, and they will finish in the top 7. Right, 6th place. 6th place is going to be Arsenal. As much of a banter club as they are, not having European football this season is going to be very beneficial for them. They've just signed Ben White from Brighton. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's Arsenal quality, but they've signed him anyway. Granit Xhaka is still there, who scored in the pre-season game on a few weeks ago now against Chelsea. Aubameyang's still there, Lacazette's still there. Arsenal have signed Portuguese wonder kid Tavares. They've kept Emile Smith-Rowe. Boyako Saka is still there, who, if we're being honest, is literally their best player, and he's not even 20 yet. He's literally younger than me. That's the crazy thing. When you get to like around 19, 20 years old and you see footballers who are like 18, 19, you're like, wow, I'm actually older than this person. But yeah, not having European football is going to be a huge, huge thing for Arsenal, because that's 6 extra games minimum that they do not have to play. Which means they can focus more attention to the Premier League, which is something they desperately need to do. So yeah, I think Arsenal, for the first time, will finish back in a European spot for the first time since the 18-19 season. Arteta will finally get Arsenal back into Europe, but he'll only get them where they've been the past 4 seasons, the Europa League. Right then, 5th place. Come on, you know who's 5th. You know who's coming 5th. They've done it the past 2 seasons. They're doing it again. 3 seasons in a row. Leicester City will finish 5th. Brendan Rodgers will bottle the top 4 for the 3rd season in a row. We just all know it's going to happen. Come on. They've signed Somare from Lille, which is an incredible signing, considering he spent last season winning the Ligue 1 title with Lille, beating PSG, and PSG have just lost 1-0 again to Lille in the Trophée des Champions, which is basically France's version of the Community Shield. So that's a decent signing. But other than him, they haven't made really any huge signings, but they've got Jamie Vardy and Kelechi Iheanacho, very reliable goal scorers. James Maddison is still there, even though he's linked with Arsenal. Like, how would he want to go make a downgrade right now? Harvey Barnes had an incredible season last season. He should be doing well again. Mark Albrighton signed a new contract. He may not be that good anymore, but he's still reliable. He's still a reliable player for Leicester. So yeah, I think with Wesley Fofana now having a full season under his belt at Leicester, I think he's going to be an even better centre-back than he was last season. So yeah, but why are Leicester not getting top 4? Same reason they haven't got it the past 2 seasons. They'll just bottle it. There'll be no explanation for why they do, they just will. Which means you know who the top 4 are. You don't know what order, but you know who I'm picking the top 4. And the top 4 of last season are all in the top 4 this season as well. Coming in 4th place will be the team that finished 4th last season. That being Chelsea. Thomas Tuchel has done a fantastic job since taking over at Chelsea. Got them to the FA Cup final and won them the Champions League. Their first Champions League in 9 years. And they could be winning, he could be winning his second piece of silverware very, very soon when Chelsea take on Villarreal in the Super Cup. And they probably will win that. But the thing with Chelsea is they haven't made any signings. They were linked with Erling Haaland, but who's not linked with Erling Haaland at the moment? But let's be honest, Haaland will stay at Dortmund this season, and then all the clubs that want him will try and take advantage of his £65 million release clause next season. Clubs will just take advantage of that and get him for much cheaper than he's actually worth. But at the time of recording, Chelsea have just put in an £85 million bid for Romelu Lukaku from Inter Milan, and they've said, F no, baby. They are not accepting that. So Chelsea are going to have to probably put in like a 90, maybe even £95 million bid to get Lukaku from Inter Milan. How ironic would that be? Jose Mourinho and Chelsea tossed Lukaku out like he was trash. He went to West Brom, had a cracking season on loan there, including scoring a hat-trick against the last Man United team to win the Premier League. Then went to Everton, had some incredible seasons there, joined Man United, had a great first season, a disappointing second season. Then, for the past 2 seasons, he's been at Inter Milan, came second 2 seasons ago, and then won Serie A with Inter Milan last season. But Chelsea think he is the missing piece of their striker puzzle, since Timo Werner played like a meme last season. Will Werner be better this season? He should hope so. For his sake, he needs to be. But one player I can guarantee will be better this season than he was last season is Kai Havertz. He had an incredible end to last season, scoring the winning goal in the Champions League final, scored against Arsenal in Chelsea's 2-1 pre-season win at the Emirates. It was a cracking finish as well. Kai Havertz will be much better for Chelsea. He'll be the player this season that they thought he would be last season. Right, 3rd place. Who's coming 3rd? The Scousers. Liverpool are coming 3rd. Yep, Liverpool are not winning the league and they're not even getting 2nd. Which means, you don't know what order, but you know who the top 2 are. Coming 3rd is Liverpool. Why? Because they've lost Gini Wijnaldum to PSG and they haven't replaced him. And he has been, over the past 5-6 seasons, one of the most reliable players they have. They haven't replaced him. That's a massive loss. Mane and Firmino had shockers of last season. Very bad seasons. The only Liverpool player that you can actually say had a great season last season was Mo Salah, finishing 2nd in the Golden Boot race. But of course, Liverpool's big problems last season that saw them lose 6 games in a row at Anfield, which is something I don't think they've ever done before, is because of their injury problems at centre-back. Van Dijk, Matip and Joe Gomez were pretty much all out for the entirety of last season. However, for Liverpool, all three of them are back, and the addition of Ibrahima Konate from RB Leipzig. So Liverpool have sorted out their centre-back problems. But again, still not replacing Wijnaldum is huge, because Wijnaldum has been so reliable for Liverpool. Yes, they've got Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson, Keita, but Wijnaldum was just reliable. Something that you can't really trust Naby Keita to be. He's been a bit of a waste of a signing since he joined from Leipzig 2 seasons ago. But why do I think Liverpool will not win the league? Because they still won't be back to their best. I still think they're going to struggle a little bit. Because the woes of last season are not going to go away from them fast. Yes, they finished last season with 5 wins in a row, feeling more back to their best. But what happened last season will still play on those players' minds. Like, that still happened. It wasn't that long ago. That could happen again at any point. So they've got to be careful. Yeah, that's why Liverpool are coming third. Right then, top 2. The 2 Manchester clubs. Where have I predicted them? Well, coming second is Manchester City. Yep, Manchester City are not winning the Premier League this season. I really hope they don't as well, because we can't be having the oil money club ruining the Premier League, which they've spent the last 10 years doing anyway. So, Man City won the Premier League last season, not deservingly. I don't care what anyone says. How can you say a team that has the biggest squad in the league and the best squad in the league deserves to win the league when every other team in the league all started getting injuries at the same time, but City didn't? They're not deserving winners. Everything just fell perfectly for them. I mean, for God's sake, in January of this year, they almost got knocked out of the FA Cup by Cheltenham. Yes, okay, Cheltenham did end up winning the League 2 title last season, but they were 7th in League 2 at the time. But yeah, Man City have not made any signings this season so far. Of course, they're linked with both Harry Kane and Jack Grealish. Preferably, I hope they sign neither, but if they're going to sign one, make it Jack Grealish, because Jack Grealish does not offer as much as what Harry Kane does. Yes, we were all fondling ourselves at the Euros over Jack Grealish, but does he really add much more to Man City than they already have? Like, the players that they have in the left wing position where Grealish would probably play are Sterling and Foden. Like, they've already got 2 pretty decent players there. And in central attacking midfield, again, Kevin De Bruyne and Ferran Torres. How is Grealish going to get past De Bruyne? He's not. So I don't know how much game time he'll even get at City. But I feel like because the rest of the Premier League will be the teams around City have gotten stronger, and they haven't yet, City are going to find it harder to win the Premier League this season. Which means it is time for me to reveal my final pick of this prediction. Coming in first place in the Premier League this season will be Manchester United, the team I support. Now, you cannot call me biased, because if you go through every other prediction video I've done on this channel for the Premier League, I have never predicted Manchester United to finish first. Never. I've never predicted United to win the Premier League until now. So you cannot call me biased. Manchester United have already made huge strides into getting the positions they need sorted. The 3 most important positions United needed to sort out this season were CDM, right wing, and centre back. 2 of those positions are basically sorted. Jadon Sancho, that's the right wing sorted, and Rafael Varane hasn't officially signed, but it's literally gonna happen within probably the day, maybe even the day I'm recording this. But he will be a United player by the time the season starts. The only player United don't really have any grip on is a CDM. Solskjaer wants to play a more attacking 3-3-3. Yeah, that's a good formation, isn't it? 4-3-3. You idiot. Instead of a 4-2-3-1, which, let's be honest, that's way more encouraging. That Solskjaer actually wants to play a more attacking formation. But yeah, United have made massive signings. Harry Maguire is at the peak of his powers at the moment. Had an incredible second half of the season last season. Had an incredible Euros at the end of throughout last month. Well, the last 2 months really. Had an incredible Euros. Luke Shaw had a fantastic Euros, including scoring the goal in the final that for just under an hour was the winning goal at Euro 2020 for us. Bruno Fernandes has had a rest, so he'll be back to his best. Pogba is still here for now. Rashford has finally decided to have the surgery on his shoulder, which he should have done that about 5 months ago, the idiot. But at least he's doing it now. Cavani is here for another year. Of course, this man knows where the back of that net is, because he just scores goals. Yeah, I think United really do have a chance at winning the Premier League this season. The first time in 9 years. The first time post-Ferguson. That's the crazy thing. Man United have still not won the Premier League since Alex Ferguson retired in 2013. What does that show? It shows how good of a manager he really was. The fact that we've not been able to replicate it. No matter who's been in charge and no matter what teams we've had. Without him, we're not the same type of team. But yeah, that is going to be it for my 2021-22 Premier League predictions. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, catch you later.